Can you believe that we're already a quarter into this year? Yeah. Me neither. How are your goals doing? Have you already reached your goals that you set at the beginning of the year? Or have you maybe not even set any goals this year? Well, whatever might be the case, if you're watching this video, then this means that this video is for you. Because in this video, we're going to talk about how to actually achieve your goals in the next 3 months. Sometimes you have a vision board, you have a Notion dashboard, you have a planner, you have a tracker, you have all of these things, and still nothing changes. And the problem is not that you're lazy or that you're not motivated enough or that you don't have like the right systems and all of that. Maybe it's just that there's a gap between what you plan on doing and what you actually do. So I'm doing an experiment to see if I can reach all of my goals in 90 days. And this is exactly how I'm setting this up. I will definitely make update videos about this 90-day challenge. And if this is a type of content that resonates with you, join my newsletter. You know that a year is extremely abstract for your brain. Like, it's so hard to comprehend the length of a year and the amount of things that you can do in a year. You've probably experienced years where there was a lot of change, but you've probably also had years where nothing would change. Also, you know how if you have an assignment that's due end of the year, you will never do it. Like, you won't do it right now. You will just wait until the end of the year to do it. Your brain doesn't feel urgency if the goal or the deadline is like 12 months away, which is why you need to artificially create urgency for your brain. This works on a smaller scale, for instance, setting deadlines for yourself. You know, even if you have an assignment that's due only in a couple of months, saying, okay, my internal deadline is doing this by end of this week. That way you actually sit down and hurry up. But it also works on a larger scale with your goals. And I think it's an amazing idea to not have yearly goals, but actually to split them up into 90-day or quarterly goals. This is an idea that, as far as I know, might have originated with the 12-week year, which is an amazing book that you should definitely read if you're interested in learning more about like the why behind this and how this even came to be a thing. But since the book was published, a lot of people kind of just had their own interpretation of the 12-week year or of the 90-day sprint or whatever you want to call it. And welcome, this is mine. I'll tell you honestly, I don't want to blindly follow anyone else's rules. So these are my rules, and these are the things that I think work based on my experience so far with reaching my goals, because I have reached a lot of my goals and I'm teaching you how to do the same. And the best thing is that you can do 4 of these every single year, and then you're more likely to actually reach your goals and probably even reach more goals than if you just had yearly goals. In other videos, I've also talked about seasons. This is especially important in the context of staying disciplined while still living a soft life. Seasons are basically just periods in your life where you're focusing on different things. You need seasons throughout your year as well. You're not going to be as productive in the summer when you're like maybe going on vacation or when you're hanging out with friends all the time as you are in early spring or in autumn, for instance. There are just seasons for different things, and I think it's really important to also take that into account when you're planning your 90-day goals. Now, how should you pick your goals? How do you know what to do in these 90 days? I always recommend, whenever you're thinking about goals, to start with journaling. You need to start thinking about what type of life you want to live in 5 years from now, and then, boil it down to 1 year from now. What are some things that you can do in the next year? And then from there, you can think about your 90-day goals. What is extremely important here is, please do not set 10,000 goals because you're not gonna achieve them. I'm not saying this to discourage you. Dream big, break the glass ceiling and all of that. But do not set too many goals, because it is important to be focused on your goals, which is exactly why we're doing this quarterly, because then you can actually keep your eyes on the prize and do not get distracted by a bunch of other goals and things that come up. An amazing question that you can ask yourself when setting 90-day goals is, if nothing else changes in 90 days, but this one thing, was it worth it? And if you can answer yes, then that goal is the right one for you. These are my rules for the challenge. You can only pick 3 goals. I am really sorry. Also, to make this worse in a moment but better long term, these 3 goals need to be from different areas of your life. Ideally, you only have 1 big goal. But because I know that if you're watching this channel, you probably have so many things that you want to do. Let's say 3. You can go with the 1 big goal if it's like a really big thing, like building a business or starting something really complicated that you've never done before. I would say go with a big one. And these need to be from different areas of your life so that you can actually focus on one goal in each area of your life. My goals, and I usually don't do this, I usually don't share my goals because I think it's not always helpful. But for the sake of this challenge, I'm also trying out things for the first time. Oh my God, this is incredible. This is the first time I'm sharing my goals online. So my first goal is to write my master thesis. I still have half of it that I need to write. My absolute deadline for this is July, but I actually hope to not even need 90 days to do this. Hopefully I will be done with this a little bit earlier, but we'll see. To put this into context, I'm still a full-time student actually, but I also recently started a full-time job, and I also have these YouTube videos that I make and like content that I post on social media, so it's a lot of work. I'm really now figuring out how to plan my week, how to be more efficient. It's a work in progress, and you know, finishing my master thesis would be such a big achievement and would mark a closing chapter of my studies. My second goal is to get 100,000 subscribers. Right now, I feel like I am at 81K. There have been a lot of ups and downs with my YouTube channel more recently. There have been a lot of tough decisions to make. I've seen a lot of comments asking like why they don't get my videos recommended to them anymore. It's a complicated story. I talked about it a lot in the video about building a brand at 23. I really recommend you watch that if you want to see the full backstory. To keep it short right now, I want to align the content that I make with the things that I genuinely find valuable. And in order to do that, there was basically this compromise, you know? You compromise views for actually making the content that you care about. So this is it. I'm trying to realign, and I'm trying to teach the algorithm how to find the people that are into this type of content again. And that takes time. So my first goal was university related. My second goal is social media related. And my third goal, I cannot tell you what it is. The third goal is to finally do this one big project that I've been wanting to do for a year, but I've never actually gotten around to do it. I hope to be able to launch this in 90 days. It sounds crazy. I feel like there's gonna be so much work around doing this. I've already started doing some things, but if I can actually launch this in 90 days, that would be an amazing accomplishment. And I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to these. Okay, next rule. Every single goal needs to be specific, actionable, and there should be checkpoints. When you think about your goals, do not think about, oh, I want to get fit. I want to eat healthier. Actually quantify what that means. Say, I want to run a 5K, or I want to run a marathon, or I want to go to the gym 4 times a week. That is specific, and it's also super actionable, because if you say, I want to be able to run like a marathon, you know exactly what you need to do. You need to go on a lot of runs. If you say the goal is to go to the gym 4 times a week, well, there you have it. Like, it's so clear. Also, you need to have checkpoints. It's so hard to set goals and to actually achieve them without ever checking in and seeing how you're progressing, and maybe even thinking about how you can be doing things in a better, more efficient way, or even just a more enjoyable way. Because the thing is, what a lot of people get extremely wrong about goals, you cannot set goals and then, you know, do nothing and then just hope that they happen, that you magically just reach your goals. Like, that doesn't happen. And that's also not called manifesting. Manifesting is something completely different, but we're getting off track here. If your goal is to be able to run a marathon, you obviously need to go on a run. You cannot just sign up for a marathon then never run. Like, you need to do something on a weekly basis in order to achieve your goal. And you also need to have check-ins with yourself. Those are like the 2 prerequisites to actually reaching your goals. And you cannot just not do these. I mean, you can, but then you're obviously not going to reach your goals. In order to keep yourself accountable, and also what I will do to keep myself accountable, you need, first of all, a weekly review. I think tracking a lot of data on a daily basis can be beneficial in some cases if you say you track it for 1 week and then, you know, you learn from it and then you apply the things that you learned going forward. But I don't think it makes sense to track everything every single day and to like be extremely obsessed with data. You know, there are always ups and downs in everyone's life. I think that is unnecessary to some extent, but weekly tracking is the way to go. There's no need to obsess over data, but you need to sit down every weekend. I always do this on Sunday. I find it very like relaxing, and you need to review your past week. For all of the goals that you have, think about the things that you need to do on a weekly basis in order to actually reach your goals. And then every single weekend, you need to track what you've done. So for instance, the way that I'm gonna do this, I have like a content tracker where I write down what content I want to post throughout the week. At the end of every week, I will look at that and see if I have actually posted the amount of posts and reels and whatnot that I wanted to post. If I didn't, I will think about how I can improve for the next week. And even if I did, I will just look back on, how the workflow has been for it. I will maybe even journal about it. How did I feel doing these things? Was it easy? Did I feel resistance? And the aim of this is to just be able to improve, even if it's just 1%. If you can do something 1% better the next week, you've already learned. Like, you've already done something. Secondly, the accountability layer. This can genuinely make or break it. Some people are extremely good at keeping themselves accountable. Most people aren't. I'm honestly not a big fan of just sharing your goals with other people, because a lot of people, especially if you have like friends who are not on the same life path as you, they might not be supportive. They might just not get what you're doing. They might not like what you're doing. Family can also be the same. The risk is too high that you tell someone your goals and then they're not supportive, and as a result, you get demotivated and you never actually do what you said you would do. But if done in the right circle, sharing your goals can be incredibly beneficial. And if you have someone who keeps you accountable by asking you, hey, have you done this thing that you promised you would do, but is nice and uplifting, even if you haven't done it, and actually helps you improve your system and your strategy for reaching your goal, then this can be incredible. Try to find someone who is willing to go on the same challenge as you, or even make it public, or do both if possible. Like I'm doing here on this channel with you. I'm sharing my goals, and then in 90 days, I will have to come back and share how it actually went. There's a possibility that I will not reach my goals, but there's also a possibility that I will, but in both cases, I will share what I learned with you. The third part of the system, and this is extremely important, and some might find this a bit unconventional, but I totally think it's fine to DNF. You're allowed to drop a goal mid-sprint, if that makes sense for you. When you're starting to read a book and then you realize you don't like the book, but you still have to read it because someone has taught us that we need to finish books, school probably. Yeah, I blame school. What usually happens in that case is you need to read that book, but you always procrastinate. Like, you never get around to reading the book. And through this, even if you loved reading before that, you can lose your love for reading because you feel like you have to read a book that you don't actually like. This has happened to me before, and this doesn't only apply to books. It's also so important to realize that some goals are not for you. Okay, my microphone just died. Sometimes we think we want something, but actually we don't. And I think it's more important to realize that we don't actually want to reach a goal and to drop it than it is to finish it for the sake of finishing it. Maybe you've heard of the sunk cost fallacy, which is like a behavioral economics term, which basically just describes the situation where people invest a lot of money and time into something and then they see it doesn't work. And the rational thing would be to just drop it and then, move on to the next thing, try out something else. But what most people do, and most companies also do, is they don't drop it because they've already invested so much money and time and energy into it, so they don't drop it. But then it never gets better. Like, the product, let's say, never becomes successful, or their idea never really takes off. And so what ends up happening is they will just invest more time and more money into it just for it to keep failing. This is what we want to avoid. If at any point throughout this challenge you realize that this goal that you've set is not for you, please drop it. Please find something else, or don't find something else. If maybe you've set 3 goals in the beginning, you drop one, then you still have 2. If you think you're way better off spending your time focusing on only those 2 things, I think that is amazing. You learn from everything. A failure is not really a failure. It's just like a byproduct of trying sometimes. So if you realize you need to drop something, absolutely drop it. Do a little journaling session, think about the things that went wrong. Think about why this goal is not for you, why it didn't align with you, so you can actually learn something from it. I wouldn't see this as a failure. Failing always has such a bad connotation, but failing is basically just realizing that some things are not meant for you, or it's just a byproduct of trying. Like, it's amazing to even try. Most people don't even do that. The real failure with an actual bad connotation would be just doing the wrong thing for 90 days because you're just too stubborn or proud or egoistical to let it go. Just let things go. If they don't work out for you, that is fine. It's fine to let things go. That's the setup. Now, you actually have to go do it. And I also have to go do it. Drop your goals down below because I would love to see what you're doing. I'll also share more information on my Instagram. I share daily stories there as well. Follow me on there so you can see the progress. But even if you don't, I'm coming back to this channel to tell you how the journey is going. So subscribe to not miss it. And if you want to do this with other people, maybe you're looking for an accountability buddy, I'm building something for that. So stay tuned. Okay, the 90 days starts now. Let's go.